Okay, let's take a look at 19.2. These are verbs that end, we've seen phileo that ends in epsilon omicron and or omega. And here we have ao and oo, so verbs that end that have stems in alpha and omicron. And so, as you can imagine, this is going to cause issues with the ways that the vowels, when they are added to those vowels in the stem. And there's going to be some odd things that are going on. The details are here in Duff. I'll let you read that. One that I want to point out is that in the infinitive, the ao and oo verbs behave as if the infinitive ending is n and not ein. So we get timan and plerun. That might be helpful to pay attention to. And then in this third singular imperfect active indicative, in all three, eo, ao, and oo, the optional nu wasn't used. So you're going to get effile, etima, and epleru. Um, that's really the most important things. I want to go over the practice 19.2 with you, but basically, you just need to know that sometimes you'll get stems you recognize and endings you recognize, and there's a vowel in the middle that's a little bit different. And so you want to ask yourself, okay, maybe I should think subjunctive, right? Because subjunctive makes the vowels change as long as there's no epsilon augment. Or maybe I should think stems, verb stems that end in alpha, and think through your various vocabulary words. And again, it's a matter of vocabulary. Some of these verbs are really common, and so you'll come to recognize that they have regular endings, something odd going on with the vowel. And you remember, oh yeah, this is because this is agapao and it has an alpha in the stem. So funny things are going to happen. Again, if you want to look at the details, they're there in Duff for you. But let's look at practice 19.2. We have planatai. The verb here is planao, and we recognize that that's a middle passive ending. We don't have an augment. We don't have any reason to think future. And so this is actually the indicative present middle passive uh, third person singular of planao. Pepleromenos. I don't remember talking about perfect participles. Maybe we looked at them, but perfect stems can form participles. And here we have pepleromenos. It's from pleroo, and so we see that it has the reduplication. The omicron went to omega. The menos is the passive ending. So we have the participle perfect, middle passive, um, nominative masculine singular. Zo is the verb zao. And so this is just the alpha and the omicron joined to form an omicron. So this is just an indicative present tense, active first person singular verb. Edikayun is from dikayoo. You notice the augment, so you know that it's one of the past tenses. And you see that there's no sigma and no reason to think that it's no other reason to think that it's an aorist. So here, in fact, we have an indicative, imperfect, active form, and it's either the first person singular or the third person plural. We have mise seis. That's from miseo. So Duff slipped an epsilon ending verb in here. And mise seis, we have the sigma at the end and no uh, uh, epsilon augment. So that tells you that it's a future active. So indicative, future active, second person singular. Agapan, this is the example I mentioned a minute ago. It's agapao, and it's the infinitive. So infinitive present active of agapao. Enikesan, this is from nikao. And so we have the epsilon augment. We know it's a past tense. We have the sigma and the active ending. So we know it's aorist. So indicative, aorist, active, third person plural. Time susin is from timao. And here we have no augment and a sigma. So this is a future tense. And so it's indicative, future, active, third person plural. Erotesen, this is from erotao. The lexical form starts with an epsilon, and here we have an eta. So we know that there's an epsilon augment here. It's erotao, so we see that the sigma has been added. So the augment and the sigma, regular active endings, this is an aorist. So indicative, aorist, active, third person singular. Timas is from timao, and here we have the Yoda subscript from the ending being added on to just the present tense active endings. There's no epsilon augment, so it's indicative, active, indicative present active, second person singular. Here we have staurutai. Again, no augment, no sigma, no reason to think it's anything else than the present. We see that it's the middle passive endings. So we have indicative, present, middle passive, third person singular. And then peina is from peinao. And here we have it's just the present tense active ending. So indicative, present, active. And this is a third person singular ending that's been added on there. So that's it. That's all I want to do with those verbs. And we will get to know them better as we work with them in the exercises. Let me know if you have any questions.